welcome back to Arca's NFT Creator Series. Today we have Gabby, the founder of YGG, joining us for the third episode. Really excited to have you on today, Gabby. How are you doing?
Pretty good, thank you.
Awesome. So give people a little bit of a background of what YGG is, what you guys do in this space, and how it has to do with NFTs as a whole.
Sure. So YGG or Yield Guild Games is what we call a play-to-earn gaming guild. So we work with games that have NFT assets in them, where people can earn some form of token-based reward. So people can go out and play those games, earn some rewards, and be able to turn them into fiat or cash. Right. So this enables them to kind of take on these kind of jobs in the metaverse and earn money in real life. So we started doing this in the game Axie Infinity, where we lend out access to our player base who are known as scholars, and they play the game, earn SLP or Smooth Love Potion tokens, and are able to kind of earn an income doing so. And the income that they make is usually very meaningful, considering a lot of our players living developing countries such as Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, Venezuela, Brazil. And yeah, and so now we invest into assets of these different play to earn games. We lend it out to our community, and we kind of help grow the metaverse economy in the process.
Yeah, so that's a good segue into the first question. The Obviously what you guys have done is have been groundbreaking for for what we call scholars in this space, for those that can't afford to get off zero themselves, or they're money is in such a way that you can't just allocate capital to something off the bat. You kind of want to edge yourself into the space itself. So how do you think that NFTs as an asset class has changed the landscape for not only creators and projects like yourself, but also for the end users?
Yeah, so NFTs have been really game changing for players, for artists. Now you can create basically a digital asset and have it as a store of value that can prove its kind of uniqueness and scarcity and provenance. And that means that for people who create their living online, creating digital assets, they can be able to sell these as unique assets, and people can kind of put a value on them, right? So this wasn't possible before blockchain because anyone can copy, for example, an artwork, or you couldn't really take game items out of the database of the game that they're in. But because these assets are stored on a public blockchain, now they can have kind of financial value that can be translated into kind of real world fiat. And really been game changing across just a number of industries, from gaming to like digital art, and yeah, just a lot more in between.
Yeah, so I mean, a good point is the composability of these assets were not only intra-game, but also intermarket and permeating like the daily life of these gamers. There's a lot of pushback, especially in the gaming sector recently. We've seen the things like Ubisoft, potentially backing out of their NFT game. We've seen Discord tease the ETH launch and then back out, and most of it has been from traditional gamers backlash. And a lot of the arguments are around that this is either environmentally costly to the world, or that this kind of removes the fun aspect of playing a game. You're making it a job. And obviously I have my own opinions to the contrary, but I want to hear from you what you think. What would you say to those skeptics about that?
Well, if you look at the arc of history of technology, there's always been a lot of resistance towards a new kind of business model or way doing things that is radically different from before. And this is the same thing that we're seeing with crypto and NFTs. The argument you're seeing can be addressed, and Ubisoft actually addressed, for example, the environmental issue by using Tezos, which is kind of a lot friendlier to the environment than a proof of work blockchain. But what people are really saying is that we don't understand why you're doing this, so we don't like it. And I think that these concerns will just melt away over time, because more and more people will be using crypto the same way more and more people use the internet. And this is just common for kind of an early adopter market that proves that, we still have a long way to go towards mass adoption of the technology.
Yeah, and there definitely is an issue with just the fundamental basis of this environmental argument. That's much longer than what we can do on this call, but it kind of gives rise to the, there's this is the easiest sector in this space for people to grab a hold to, but at the same time, it's also the easiest sector in this space for people to have misinformation permeate like how they look at the space. So I always find it kind of daunting to not only educate people, but also re-educate people on what the actual space has to offer and why it's much bigger than what you read about in an article or hear about on a news segment. So I just find it interesting. I think what you guys are doing is not only helping these games grow, right? An industry that normally has a 95% mortality rate. You guys are providing an influx of gamers, an influx of capital from day one that probably brings down that rate to 50 to 60%, which is great. But also you're providing a service for people that are otherwise unable to gain access to this type of economy. And I'm sure you have many stories of people that started off with nothing, joined the scholarship program, and ended up buying their own team and either
Yeah,
leaving the
absolutely.
program or starting their own program. And I mean,
Yeah.
these are success stories that you don't hear about much. There's a big talk about the how people in the Philippines were making more money per day playing the game than the entry level graduate salary, and I think that went on like Forbes or one of those articles. But since then, it's been a lot of murky discourse about the ethical dilemmas of the gaming industry in this space, and I just find it very interesting how the tide has turned in terms of narrative of what we're talking about. Like these people, if you ask any single scholar, I'm sure they all have the same answer as to how they feel about this game and what you guys offer specifically and how that's changed their lives. So it's a lot of what this series is trying to do, and that's why I'm so happy to have you on, is to help people understand that this space is a lot more than what is just being talked about online. There's a much deeper network of roots that are being built here.
Yeah, with what we're doing, there's so many stories of people around the world who lives are being saved or financial lives are being built because of play to earn and these kinds of games. So I believe that like guilds and play to earn is actually one of the best use cases for crypto, where people are earning crypto not via having money, but being able to contribute and your skill into the network. And yeah, if people are looking for mass adoption, and I would say that it's already here, people just have to look past their immediate environment and look at the places around the world where this is not only useful, it's actually life changing.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Where do you see? So we have what we have today, and it's already been a massive, uh, 0 to 1 movement. Where people are saying, is it too late? Is this happening too fast? My personal opinion is that just a re-rating of a sector that found product market fit overnight. But moving forward, where do you see the space going in the next 5 to 10 years?
Okay, so if we went from 0 to 1 in the last year, the next 10 years is really going from 1 to 100. We are laying down the framework through geographical subDAOs, for example, that are going to go deep into different geos. We are starting with Southeast Asia, India, and Latin America, and basically going from community to community, city to city, village to village, and onboard people there into Web3. So people always talk about, oh, let's bring the next billion users into Web3. That's not just going to happen by people just installing wallets and suddenly being there. Like we are actually going deep, on the ground into the cities and villages and teaching people how to use crypto via these play to earn games. And that's how you really do mass adoption the hard way, via educating people why it's important for them to do it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is, we focus on sector by sector on each call. The gaming sector is one that's definitely caught people's attention, and I'm very bullish on the outlook of what gaming looks like in the next 5 to 10 years. Like especially you guys are sitting very pretty right now. As the leading guild in this space. I just think that right now we have one game live. We have a few games nipping at the heels. I think that this is kind of a make or break year next year for a lot of these games with these roadmaps and those that come out with their product and get absorbed by the community. I mean, this is just the beginning of a much larger movement, and for that reason,
Absolutely agree.
very excited for the next decade in this space. Um, where can people find out more about what you guys are doing or the initiatives that you're taking, either specifically in the regions or as a whole?
So best way to find us is at discord.gg/ygg. So that's our Discord community. Twitter.com/yieldguild for our Twitter account. And at yieldguild.io, our website, you can mint your guild badge, which is an NFT that's free to mint. You just have to pay gas. And then for our announcements and articles, yieldguild.medium.com.
Awesome. Anything that you want to say to the viewers back home that are watching this right now?
Well, I mean, coming to the community, let's have fun. There's so many different things for people to do to find their kind of creative outlet in the guild and earn some income at the same time. You might be a player, you might be in esports, you might be a content creator, you might just be kind of a community helper. Some people are training other people how to get better. We're really kind of creating a really strong community of people who want to help each other and have fun and earn money at the same time. So yeah, hop into the Discord, and I promise you, it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you so much for your time, Gabby.
All right, thanks, Sasha.
Pleasure.